first thoughts when they told you,
When they asked me to come back?
Yeah.
Well, they asked me to come back for the season finale last year, and my first thought was like, oh, I didn't know the show was over. Because I literally have been asked this so many times. I thought, well, Mary will probably come back in the series finale. I don't see any other ways left open to them. I said she'll come back to life in the series finale with John, and they will be alive, and the boys will see them, and Mary and John will have no idea who they are because it's supernatural. And it has to be sad. So I literally thought, I'm like, oh, I guess oh, okay. And then I was at one of my friends is a producer, and I said, so I'm going back I guess it's over. He's like, what? No? And he said, well, you'll be back next year. I'm like, really? Okay. And I didn't know. I didn't know if I was just going to be like the pie-toting mom or what. But then I was like, wouldn't it be great if they brought me back as a hunter? That would be cool. And then about 6 weeks ago, Phil Scritchie called me. He's like, so have you had much fight training? I'm like, yeah, zero fight training. And so they've been sending me to that, and they've been sending me to weapons training, and Mary's hunting, and it's crazy. I don't know if you saw the trailer thing, but the first episode I had to flip Jensen and like plant my heel on his jaw. I'm like, sorry. He was a trooper about it. He's actually really good at that stuff, and I'm really not, so he's helping. Oh, I'm just Mary. I'm real Mary. I'm just a person. I'm not good or evil.
Your character, I'm sorry.
No, that's what I mean. Mary, Mary was always good, I think. Unless she was Eve, then she was not. Well, yeah, she's just her person. She's going to be hunting and trying to do good in the world, while trying to come to grips with the fact that she's been gone for 30 years and her kids are grown and hunters and her husband's dead, and the world has changed so much since 1983. So there's a lot of mental noise for her.
Is there somebody, one of the Sam or Dean or somebody else that's going to help her transition in that season? So someone that she's kind of confides in to kind of help her through that process?
I think that the boys will help her as much as they can. Mm-hmm. I think particularly Sam, because I think he is more the emotionally verbal of the two. But like most hunters, I think Mary's probably pretty tight-lipped and internalizing of things. Especially because this is, for good or bad, change is always traumatic, and this is such a huge change, and it came on the heels of such trauma because I come back to life the moment I died, right? So that is not a great memory. So there's just a lot to filter through, and I think that's going to take a minute. It's not sort of wrapped up by episode 2. Yeah.
What can you tease about what her relationship with the boys will be like when it picks back up with them? Like, is it all good, or is there like some tension?
Well, I think that the fact that they are now, when she died, they were 4 years old and a baby. So there's not much of a relationship with Sam, because a mother's relationship with an infant is pretty much one direction, right? But a 4-year-old has started to develop who they are. And so there will be memory of that. But I think Mary's going to mourn those 30 years of not seeing her children grow up, having no input into who they've become, them not knowing her at all, and just having this perspective of the perfect mom that has been gone. And Mary's not perfect. She's a person. And I think that is going to take an adjustment period.
What do you think is going to be the most challenging part of playing that character? Because I would see it as a very different approach.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I sort of liken it to someone who gave up their baby for adoption. And then when the baby's 30 years old, it hunts down the mom, and she's like, I'm still your mom. And so it's finding the middle ground of not mothering them, but still being their mom and feeling maternal towards them and them. But that, I mean, even weirder for two kids who grew up without a parent, thinking she was gone forever, to suddenly be like, here you go. So there's so much there that I really have to think. I've been working on it a lot because you don't want to just do it all like, especially because a hunter, first and foremost, just looks like they always know what's going on, right? Because you can't act like, oh, it's a demon. Oh, you have to be like, okay, that's cool. I got it. And I think that that's sort of the same thing that Mary is going through right now. She's not going to show her cards.
Well, speaking of that, if we're going to see Mary as a hunter again, thankfully, is there going to be any interaction with maybe Castiel or Crowley that kind of throw her off balance, or
Yes.
anything interesting like that?
Yes. I won't disclose the circumstances of meeting Castiel, but it's really awesome. The scene is really awesome. And the dynamic there is great. Misha and we just laugh. It's really fun. I don't know about Crowley. I don't know when and if that will happen. I'm sure at some point. What I want is to meet Jody Mills and Rowena, like the little mom thing happening. I think there's a lot to mine in that, especially book club. Well, especially with Jody, because she's in a way been a very a surrogate to them, and I think that Mary needs to thank her.